And here's an insider's brief about getting your products and services well known out there in the world today. Yeah, we're going to talk about marketing and social media, but a little bit different. And what we're going to talk about, knowing this well and using it wisely, it can make or break your business. Yeah, and that analytics, and data analytics is the backbone of that. With us is Billy Mansmann. He's the Director of Performance Analytics at BCM, and he's going to tell us about the modern dynamics of SEO and the nuances of the no-click world. Hi, Billy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me on today.
Billy, I love talking about marketing, SEO, social media. It's what has brought every business their customers. It's what brings us to the shirts and the clothes and the computer and the TV and the shoes that we wear. Everything is connected. I don't think anything would happen if you didn't know about a product. How would you ever get it? And what has piqued my interest in all of this is zero-click search. And so let's just kind of start with that question. What is zero-click search? Perhaps you can define it and tell us, why is it a challenge to businesses today?
Yeah, so when we talk about marketing and digital marketing especially, right, Google is probably the first thing that a lot of people think of. And so within the Google stack, within search engines, you have paid search advertising and SEO, so there's organic links on the page. And so what a zero-click search is actually a search where someone doesn't click. So it's exactly what it sounds like, right? And so the reason why it's important, and I think as my role in analytics, is that historically, when we look at digital marketing, everything is judged on this click, right? It's someone searching for your brand or searching for a term related to your brand, and they click on something, whether it's one of your organic listings or a paid ad. And the success of your marketing campaign is judged by what happens on that click and after that click. But there are a lot of searches now where people are searching on Google and they don't click anything. So an example of this might be like, let's say you're searching for a phone number for something and you search something phone number, and then Google pops up with that phone number. You didn't need to click to the website to get there, to get that phone number, but you found what you were looking for, right? And that's a really simple example, but if you're someone who frequently Googles things, you find that a lot of the time Google will give you that little snippet that gives you the answer pulling from a page somewhere else. And so when that search happens, your brand doesn't get a click to the website, but the information that you put out there on your landing pages, in your ads, influence the information that someone learned. And so this presents a really interesting challenge for marketing analytics, because we've always judged on the click, but now there's a lot of these searches where no one is clicking, and you have to actually think of it a little bit differently. If you were there, if your brand was showing, and if Google was pulling that information from your website, was it valuable for you to be there? Based solely on clicks, the answer would be no. But what we're trying to determine for our businesses is there value in simply being present on the search engine results page that's not being quantified by clicks? And so that is really interesting to us. And I think it's sort of something that can allow you to stand out if you figure out what is the best way to attribute the value of being there.
You're absolutely right. When I search, I love the fact that the 2 or 3 sentences has exactly what I'm looking for, and I don't have to go anywhere or go any further.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't notice the website or the URL. Usually they're really long, and I'm just looking for the answer, what's the weather today, or what color do people like the most? I don't need to go to somebody's website, but it brings in that you could be high in the standings, but yet people aren't necessarily going to find out more about your products and services or the data that you provide. And so now, while I'm thinking with that, and I totally agree that that's happening, and I think more and more of people are doing that, we now have introduced into this AI, and perhaps you can better explain it, but as I'm thinking with it, people are using AI to do the search and give them the data. That doesn't give them a click either. Perhaps I'm making an error there. So let me just ask it straight up. How does AI affect all this, and is that good or bad?
Yeah, so AI is actually making this issue really more and more prevalent, right? And there's actually two impacts that AI is having here. Number one, to your point, a lot of the times now, as something like ChatGPT becomes more relevant, when you're looking for information, some people just go to ChatGPT and go, "Hey, ChatGPT, what is the answer to this, or what am I looking for?" Right? Those people never end up on Google or Microsoft at all, right? So they're never searching on a search engine. But what ChatGPT is doing is it's pulling from your content, right? And so SEO is all about content, and so that information that you put out there, right? So if you go to ChatGPT and ask for a brand recommendation, they're pulling from what's out there on the internet, right? And so your content needs to still be out there, but you're never going to see the click that might have come from that search. And so that's one thing that's really important. But I think in particular, what's really developing, and I think is sort of the more apocalyptic event, so to speak, for paid search advertising and SEO, is this search generative AI experience that Google is sort of beta testing and sort of rolling out, where when you search, what's going to happen is that there's going to be this, here's what AI says the answer is, that pops up before you click on anything. And so a lot of industry estimates expect that the amount of traffic that you're going to get on your organic listings is going to drastically go down once this fully rolls out. And so what that means is that for something like SEO, the efforts are going to become immediately less effective. If your traffic suddenly declines from SEO by 50%, this could be really concerning to the long-term future of that type of activation, right? And so I think as we look at that makes understanding the value of that search where someone doesn't click really important. But again, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep investing in your SEO or your paid ads, because that's sort of the sourced information that the AI response is doing. So if you ask AI, what are the best brands for me to do? For example, say you're looking for batteries and you're like, what is the best battery for this purpose? You still want your content out there so that when the AI is sort of scraping the Google to figure out what is the best battery, they might find your brand. Let's say it was like Energizer, for example. And so that sort of conversation around, will SEO be less valuable when the clicks drop drastically, is really important. And I'm a sort of analytics person, so I'm usually not in the world of binary yes or no's. Odds are it might hurt the value, right? But my question is how much, right? Quantifying that impact. And that's really where the role of analytics becomes more important as the SG experience fully rolls out.
Billy, so much money is spent on SEO, and it's such an important thing. People are always thinking SEO, SEO. It's taken time, the culture to get into businesses, and now it's so strong. Even if, and I say even if SEO is less valuable, it still becomes more important to businesses. So I'm really interested in how the future plays out on that, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's still good to put out your data. I mean, you're not going to stop. You've got products and services, so it's a matter of how to put it out, but you still have to put out your, hey, we provide these types of batteries for these purposes. You still have to put that out, but you're not able to, let's use the word quantify the zero-click searches, because some AI is scraping the web. So how can businesses move past this and say, hey, this is valuable because of this data or these analytics?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things here. Is strategy wise, there are certain strategies that you can employ to sort of how to succeed in a generative AI world. That's less of my focus. I'm not the SEO lead at BCM, but we have a really great SEO team that's sort of working on what is the best SEO strategy to succeed in that world. But on the quantifying analytics side, I think the important piece is we need to reorient our thinking to be less about the clicks when we talk about SEO and paid search, right? It's not all about the click. There's value in just serving an ad impression. And what we're doing is trying to, for each of our brands, quantify what is the impact of that on the total business results of our clients, right? And so what is the value of serving impressions being visible on the search engine results page on the growth of the business over time? So that for me involves a lot of data modeling, right? Looking at our impressions over time versus the growth of the business. and sort of coming up with, for example, if you're a business that operates on revenue, what is the revenue value of an impression? Is it 1 cent? Is it half a cent? Is it 2 cents? Right? Whatever it is, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're serving thousands of hundreds of thousands of millions of impressions, that can add up to a lot if you can sort of quantify that impact. A lot of brands use things like media mix models. And so what that is basically you put in a bunch of information from your different media channels and then model that relationship on the overall revenue. And a lot of those simply use spend or clicks as the sort of input for something like search. But it may be that we want to consider using something like impressions, because if the clicks for search are going down over time, we might see that impressions may be the better thing to model. And so it's really all about, from my perspective, how can we find the value of an impression or the value of a view or the value of something else that isn't clicks?
Great points and so much more we could discuss about this. For more information, please go to bbclarkmeyler.com. I'll spell that BEEBYCLARKMEYLER.com. The URL will be in the description below as well. And Billy, thank you so much for going over this and explaining it. And you've opened me up to a very interesting world. I've definitely got to find out more about this myself. Thanks for coming on the show and talking to us today.
Thanks so much, Tony.